Which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alexander. Yes. Bridgewater.
Here.
Bristol.
Here.
Andrew. Yes. Bratton.
Here.
Hebron.
Here.
And Hampton. Yes. Okay. This time, is there any suggestion of an approval or modification to the agenda?
I had a request from a member of the public to adjust the January 12th minutes for a statement she made. I'm guessing that would fall under the approval of the minutes. I just wanted to let you know that I had that.
Yeah. I probably have it too. Yeah. Okay, so then we are moving on to the minutes, starting with January 21st. Is that the one?
It's, no, it's the ones you approved at the last meeting, January 12th.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right, so why don't we talk about that now?
Okay, I received an email from Heather Gossin, who was at the January 12th meeting, and in the minutes it stated, Heather Gossin said she is always pro-athletic, via petition warrant article, and MMS football program. She is concerned about where the money is coming from. She asked Vincent Paul Migliore how he was going to vote on the Hill issue. She is requesting that last sentence, meaning she asked Vincent Paul Migliore how he was going to vote on the Hill issue, be changed to she requested that Vincent not speak on the Hill warrant article as a school board member at deliberative session, and he is entitled to his opinion and would do so as a taxpayer from the floor if need be. So she wanted to just clarify that she never said, ask him how he was voting, but just to clarify that. So she would like the minutes to reflect that change.
You have that, Leah? Okay. Okay, now on to the January 21 minutes. I wasn't at that one, so I'm not Anybody else? Okay, and we move those to the consent agenda. January 31st, deliberative session. I actually have several, but some of them are repeats of the same thing.
Here.
Yes.
Just for the record, I always have a problem with this because this isn't really a school board meeting. This is the moderator's meeting. Certainly there are potential errors in the minutes and what have you. We should probably make note of that, but I wonder whether we actually have to vote on accepting.
So this has come up multiple times, and no matter what job I've had, is whether you approve them or not. I think they recommend you do, only so that somebody has looked at them and said they look accurate. Because the moderator can't really look at, he can't vote for himself on the minutes, but at least a body who was involved in the process at least reflects on them and says they look accurate and appear to be accurate. Or need to be corrected, correct. As opposed to just inserting them based on the clerk without any kind of second oversight.
Yeah. Okay, mine are mostly spelling, so, but on page 2, just above Article 3, it says, motion to close discussion on the article by Barbara Green, and that's Barbara Greenwood. And then it says, it's seconded by Sean LaVue, so everywhere that his name appears, it's misspelled. His last name is L-A-G-E-U-X, and it appears several times. And I think his first name might actually be S-H-A-U-N, but I'm not sure about that. I am sure about his last name. The other things I had were grammatical, and for the most part, so I'm not actually going to mention them because I don't know if they're that significant. They don't change meaning if I change them. But on page 4, Brian Richardson is listed a couple of times at the top and then again next to the bottom. And his name is spelled differently on that last one. It should have a Y instead of an I. So, that's it. not gonna do little comma capitalized things, because they don't change the meaning of those minutes.
So, comment on page 2, expendable trust funds. Under discussion, last sentence, this article is not funded by tax dollars, it's not funded by additional tax dollars.
But if that's what Jeff said, then that has to stand as the comment?
That isn't what I said.
Okay.
There was a little more explanation there, but that is not what I said.
I think you said it doesn't increase our taxes, that it comes out of money already raised or something to
Yeah.
that effect.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you did say it doesn't increase our taxes.
That's why additional works.
Are you okay with it? Sorry. Are you okay with additional?
Additional
Does
gets.
that make it more clear?
Yeah, it makes it clear enough.
You can have the clerk go back and listen to it if you want to and amend it.
I'm not sure the audio was that, that good, because I was stepping away from the
Oh,
mic.
we don't have the audio? That was the problem?
Then on page 6, under Ken Brayley, has, at first it was 500,000, then it was 25,000, should be 250,000 rather than 25,000.
Are you asking me?
It should be 215.
Yes, okay.
Then on page 7 on my the last sentence, because of contractual requirements, it's really because of state requirements. That's all I have.
On that same page, is Steve Spofford's last name all O's, or is there an A in it? I don't know, Mo, I don't know that. Nobody knows? We get out, Liz.
Where's that?
On page 7, let's see, halfway down, seconded by Stephen Spofford. I think it might be O's, but I don't know. Yeah.
We should double check the sign-in sheet.
We do this like a different.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
What sign?
We can certainly call the town. Clarify. They'll have the record.
Anybody else on that one?
Page 5, again, it's kind of like a grammar issue, but where Jeff is talking about, said the school board, it says we have buildings that needs adjustments. Is that needs? Is that?
Need.
Yeah. And then the next one down, it is hardship for parents to transport children. So, I don't know if that was question 2.
Then you gotta change transports. A hardship for parents to transport. Yeah. You're so tech savvy. I just want everybody to know that Sue has moved into the 20th century.
Want me to move that up?
With a sliding projector.
Yep, and audio cassettes.
Wow.
I have these slides, you see, they're very old, and I wanted that nicely.
Yeah.
Gonna wait off the dust.
You know, a family view and.
Oh,
I love it when they get full.
And I have one, I have a camcorder that takes VHS. It's so embarrassing.
We were on the January 31st minutes, which are the deliberative session. Anything else? Do you remember having anything on the, we just changed some spelling of names?
Just a couple little typos maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, 31st. So I can't see with my glasses. Oh, yeah, on page 6. Oh, gosh. I don't know, almost 2/3 of the way down, what I said. The requirements for kindergarten class rooms are larger. Not that their classes should be larger. Classroom space. I don't know how I said it, but it would make more sense.
I think you might have actually said that, but after making a comment, or else you made a comment before or after they clarified it.
Maybe.
Do you just want to add a word, the requirements for kindergarten classrooms?
Classrooms, yeah. We have to have larger class. Okay, I think that's all.
Okay, we're on to January 21st then. I didn't know anything.
Stacy, the project promise for New Hampton, is there only one more year
Yes,
remaining on the grant?
next
I
year.
thought there was 2 left.
No, just next year.
And then on 9B, last sentence, the second busiest traffic day, not day traffic day.
There isn't a 9 on the 21st. What set of minutes are you on?
Old business?
February 16th.
It's not page 9, bullet 9.
This is February, year 16, February 16th.
And what we're working on?
My next ones are January 21st.
I thought you did January 21st.
No, we did January 12th. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Never mind. Thank you, Don. Sorry about that. I just put it in the back, I guess.
February 16th.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Did you get that, Liam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, nothing else? All right, so all 3 of those sets of minutes will go to the consent agenda.
You might want to add under section 15 that the corrected roll call vote was to seal the minutes for the year. Doesn't say that. You did it earlier. On page 5.
All right, so call for a corrected roll call vote to seal the minutes. What do you want to change?
For 50 years.
Okay, for 50 years. So after of the non-public meeting for 50 years.
In the discussion before the actual vote.
Okay, at this time, does public comment? Please stand, say your name and your town. So on to announcements and recognitions. Staff liaison report, Mary?
Everything's great.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And anything from you?
The high school will be hosting their first challenge day on Wednesday, which is meant to promote empathy among people in the community, and it'll be attended by over 125 people from the community, both students, staff members, and other people like parents.
Good. What are the events?
It's just a lot of exercises to kind of show people that, you know, everyone in their life has gone through the same thing, whether you know it or not, and that people may be dealing with something, and what you say can really hurt them.
Anything under other?
Announcements.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Don, you want to go?
Well, the high school had some significant accomplishments. I don't know if anybody else is going to speak on, but the honor for best play at the annual One Act Play competition. We won it the second year in a row. And also the athletic scholars, one of our own sons was a recipient. Let's see, pictured are Austin Tasso, Haley McAfee, Jesse Austin, Ben Leonard, Carolyn Miller, and Jacob Holton.
And I would just add that both Jacob and Haley, so normally you don't always, very rarely would two students from the same school win. So it was very nice that we had, it was just a great honor for Division III that we cleaned house on both of those awards. They're very prestigious awards, so you have to have good high academic scholar and be, I think it's 2 or 3 athletic. You have to participate in 2 per year for 4 years, so it's a pretty distinguished award. So, great job.
anything else? And Mike, on the front page is another 1,000-point scorer for girls basketball. And, you know, they had a bye in the first round, won their next game, lost their game after that. And it's pretty impressive that year after year, Carrie's teams do so well. You know, it means there's a good feeder program, but it also means you got a really good coach, because to do it year after year is impressive.
I have a couple of things, can I add?
Yep.
Last week and the week before vacation, our elementary schools did Read Across America Week. It was great activities. All of the schools did something having to do with reading. Some did reads, you know, all school reads. We had all kinds of characters. Just, it was a wonderful, wonderful week in all of those schools, just in all the activities they did. If you look at our website, we've added a ton of those pictures. I know Vincent came in and read at Bristol Elementary School. I read, so I want to thank community members. Police and fire came in and read, so for all of their supports to come in and do this. We also are at this time gearing up for smart analysis assessment. Information from the state is coming out fast and furious. Right now, Ann Holton and Josh are kind of lead on doing that, and so they've been meeting with our test administrators to make sure we're on board, make sure we're all set. Obviously, technology is driving a lot of this, and so we're trying to figure out how best to utilize our technology in all of our schools, moving some things around so that we can make sure our whole class can test and things like that. So the administrators are working well together to do that. Just a reminder, tomorrow is Get Out and Vote Day. So exercise your right to vote to the public, get out and vote. Lots of important decisions to make. And lastly, I just want to thank Ruby for her 3 years of service on the board. Today will be really her last meeting, so officially.
And,
So-
you know, in typical fashion, I've been up since 2:15 with a
Of course.
migraine. Yeah.
So I do want to thank you for your
Yeah.
support and all the efforts that you put in on the board this year.
Thanks. Anybody else? Okay. All right, on to old business. We have first reads tabled from February 9th and several of them. Does policy committee want to say anything in particular about these? Jeff?
Changes are noted. This is a result of going through the policies based on recommendations from School Board Association. So they're pretty much legal changes. Or changes that resulted from legal changes.
Jeff, if I could add just on that last one, age of entrance and the regulations, that wasn't changed. That was actually really clarifying the policy a little clearer. So one of the things I struggled with is parents who request early entrance, like into kindergarten. We don't really have a good process for that. And I think a lot of parents believe just doing the kindergarten screening is enough, and it really isn't for us to make those decisions. So I clarified the policy a little bit clearer. You should read it because it does limit, and this is a decision of the board. The policy committee agreed, but it really does not allow for early entrance into kindergarten. It allows early entrance into first grade. But after lots of discussion at the committee level, we thought, it was my recommendation that it's really hard to assess whether a kindergarten is ready for kindergarten, because if they haven't had preschool, the level of skill coming into kindergarten is pretty variable anyway. So to determine that is very difficult, whereas in first grade, there's definite skills we would be looking for a first grader to come in. So it is something that I would want you to really look at, because that was a significant change in the policy request. And it also spells out what we would be looking for those assessments a little clearer.
I just had a question on the second paragraph. When it talks about a child coming into school, having done first grade somewhere else, and having a birthday between October 1st and December 31st where they turn 6. Is December 31st probably the latest that any district you know of?
Probably.
Hasn't cut it
I
off?
haven't done it, but typically it's around, it's October is typically the date.
Yeah.
That didn't change.
I had a question on concussions and head injuries.
Which policy?
JLCJ. The way I read that, that's all talking about co-curricular activities.
And that's the next group of policies.
So hold off for that.
Well, we can go to that. Just the first batch was the ones that we tabled, and the second batch was from the following meeting.
But my question was, is there a policy for injuries during PE classes?
So we have a health policy, we have a safe and injury policy in general. We're required by law to have a policy on concussion testing and concussions. What we've added here is the kind of center, and it doesn't really, obviously our copy machine isn't working well, but that center section, what we added was there's a few definitions that were added to the law. So we added those definitions into our policy so that we're all clear on what a student athlete is, who we have to concussion test.
So I noticed in the middle schools report this month that they played dodgeball. So there could easily be a concussion during dodgeball.
Yeah, there's a legal requirement to test for PE, and it's not something that I would recommend we go to.
No, not a test,
Yeah.
but is there a policy for if something happens?
Yeah,
after
I mean,
the fact?
if a student is injured, they fill out an injury report form, they go to the nurse, I mean, we have protocols for first aid, and we have policies on that.
This
Yeah.
is to screen them before they play.
The next significant policy change was IKF. wording changes on the high school graduation requirements.
And the addition of financial literacy.
So that has been in there. If you look, so the policy had like the 2 previous years, so we updated it, we took those out because those students, that doesn't really count anymore. So we did update it, and we added the big piece was adding the last paragraph, which talks about we're now required to have 4 years of exposure to math. So this outlines how you can get that 4th year either through a traditional math class or the courses that we would accept as that 4th year of math. So for example, if you're taking computer programming 1 or 2 in your 4th year, that counts as a 4th year math class. And that's a new requirement by law. We also added, for students who are placed out of district, by the district or by the courts, that they will meet the requirements of a minimum standard diploma outlined by the state as opposed to our requirements. So we have some requirements like financial literacy in our senior project, that when we place students out of district, they're not always able to do those types of things with our students. And so it could actually cost us more money to have a senior project done by a student who's placed in an out-of-district program. And so we thought meeting the minimum standards was more appropriate for those students. So we reflected that in the language as well.
I have a quick question on IHCD, the advanced coursework, advanced placement courses. The bottom, the second kind of little paragraph there. The district will not be responsible for any tuition fees or other associated costs incurred by the student for enrollment in such courses. So this is just specific, I know that's what it says, but just specific to enrollment and wouldn't preclude us from doing any payment for testing fees that we have done or do for.
Right, so this is just so if somebody wanted to take a course at the tech, we would support it, but the parents would be paying the tuition. If there was any extra cost of this, it's the parents' responsibility.
So should we have advanced placement courses in the title?
This is actually a new policy that we didn't have, that we're required to have.
But advanced placement in caps is a specific program, and then in the body, it says advanced placement without the AP designation, like it's not capitalized. So, are we talking about College Board advanced placement courses, or are we talking about advanced courses?
I think it could be either.
But I understand Ben's question, we pay for that testing. This makes it sound like we can't.
No, it does kind of seem like it's strictly enrollment to me. I just kind of was making sure that that was consistent.
I mean, you
with
could, although I would hate to, in your policy, start defining what you're paying for and not. I think as a district, you always have the ability to pay.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
As long as it doesn't
drop
take that ability.
Yeah.
Designation, yeah.
Yeah. But should there be a day that the board decided we weren't gonna pay for that anymore? I don't think you want a policy, what you're paying for or not.
Anything else? Okay, if there are no objections, we'll move the policies to the consent agenda. And so there'll be two, one set for second read, the gold, right?
No, they're all first.
They're all
They're all
first reads?
first read.
Okay, all right, so we have 3 sets of minutes and, yep, and policies, thank you, Stacey. Okay, new business, school board evaluation plan for review. You want to talk about that?
Yep, so I've been working on that. Just so you know, we currently have 76 faculty surveys done, 35 community member, and 4 board members. So there's 3 of you who haven't done yours. So please get on and do that. If you would like a handwritten copy that I can then type in for you, you're more than welcome to ask me and I will get that for you. I didn't know what time frame you wanted. I can keep those surveys open forever. I can close them up. I just didn't know when you thought maybe you would want to review them.
I think they should close tonight because the board officially changes tomorrow, or they should change it tomorrow. Is the board's gonna change?
So can we wait till tomorrow? I just would like to send out a reminder to people like that, you know, on Friday, I'll close them to give anybody a last minute opportunity. Unless the board would like me to just close them down tonight, I can do that. The board hasn't finished yours, so you
I
need
think
to
it's
finish yours.
valuable to leave them open till the end of the week.
I think, and until the recount period is over, filing for a recount, I think it's still the same board, isn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah, I think
So I think we're okay
I mean, I can
with
send
that,
out a
yeah.
reminder just saying they'll all be closed on Friday, so
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that, and then it kind of sets a limit, and then you'll just need to decide when you want to review them, so you're just looking for some guidance on how long you wanted me to keep them open for.
End of day Friday?
End of day Friday.
Good. Yeah.
Can you email those that haven't completed?
I don't know, because I don't know who didn't do them, they're all anonymous.
She sent out a reminder last week
Yeah.
with the link.
I thought I completed mine, right?
Well, if you did yours, then you probably did. I mean, there's 4 board numbers, I just have no idea, I have no way of knowing who did them. I can give you the IP addresses of them, but I have no idea who that would be.
We can find those for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that's the next meeting about when to do everything. Okay, and then approval of RFP for demographic study?
So that you can actually, you don't need to tackle. So I put that on there because I got the first proposal in and it was more than $6,000. So I was a little concerned that they were gonna be more than 6, so I put it on there in case, because the board authorized me up to 6,000. So I have entered into a contract with someone,
Okay.
NHSAA, to do that, and I have started giving them the information they're looking for, so that is underway.
Okay, what does that acronym stand for?
New Hampshire School Administrators Association. Yeah, I think it was 4,900 plus travel.
Okay, and then we have a field trip request to Agawam for music department. They go every year, don't they?
Correct. Yeah.
Premier Coach, is that the one they used to go to New York City last time, they had so much trouble with?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I don't know either.
I want to say for the New York City trip, it was more of a planned trip, so it was probably more of an agent than this, I think, is just the bus. Like, they didn't need anything planned for them. As like a tour company versus just contracting the
Yeah.
bus. But I wouldn't put money in it, I just don't know.
Because the New York trip, there was the accident, late for everything, and
For these, question for Mike, do you contract it or does the school contract? You know,
The music department plans that.
They work with the administration of the high school. And I'm guessing that it's probably not, only because I'm thinking they had such a bad experience with it. It's the same school that you know, but.
The only transportation company we have a contract with, period, is for students. And they do not charter this.
So they don't do it as a purchase order through you?
They do purchase order, but it's not it's not necessarily a contractual agreement, although a PO basically promises them the funds. I don't believe they put in the PO yet for it.
Well, should they?
Yes, they would
Shouldn't
get
they wait
it
till
five.
it is?
It gets approved
That's
first.
what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
I have no idea. This is,
I'm glad Mr. Judd put this in well in advance. Sometimes we don't get
They're
it.
getting good.
And it's good to have them back.
basically.
Any other comments? Put that on the consent agenda? Okay. Stacy has proposed March 23rd for the organizational meeting.
So you have your April meeting, and I will tell you that April meeting is jam-packed. So I thought it might be good for the board to meet before then and do an organizational meeting. And maybe some of the late stuff that is on that agenda, because you're gonna have, just off the top of my head, you'll have specialists and support staff agreements, you'll have nominations of teachers, administrators, specialists. I think we have a field trip request, we have second read of policies. It's a pretty big meaty agenda.
What's the date of the April meeting?
It's the 12th, I just confirm.
Yep.
13th. So I just thought if you met beforehand and did kind of your organizational stuff and maybe some of the lighter agenda items, you can knock those kind of off, as opposed to doing your organizational meeting and then trying to get into all of that. It just might logistically make a little more sense. And if you do it on the 23rd, it's kind of it would be after the wait period. If there was a question on the ballots, we would have that response by then. It's beyond the 5 days. Right, I mean, I'm hoping it was in a contested race, but you never know.
Tie right
Okay.
I think that's probably a good idea to do it earlier, because
Yeah.
it's way too close to the contract.
Yeah, and I just think that meeting right now, it's like this long on my board, so it's a pretty hefty meeting.
Plus, it's hard to get a second one in April because of vacation.
Right.
And so the more you can get done in March.
Yeah, and so what I can do is, we can do the organizational piece and like put the field trip, the easy kind of things, we can put right on there and tackle those and get them over with. Does that date work for everybody?
Yeah, we're gonna have another, what, 2 policies for first read
Yeah,
as
we'll have more
well?
policies, yeah. That's what I mean, it's coming to be a pretty packed meeting.
Would it work better to have 2 meetings in March?
I don't think so. I think it'll be okay to have the one, that organizational
I'm sorry,
in
this-
April.
This would be
This
the
is
second.
Yeah, this would be the second, yeah. So on the calendar, we didn't have a second meeting in March because you'll change over,
Right.
but, because it's pretty much the same board. But it might be, it will make that the April meeting a little less late.
So what the meeting?
I have March 23rd. We have flexibility, I just chose that Monday. Because it would be your normal kind of fourth week.
I just had a question. Speaking of new board, are there any write-in, any people running for write-in?
We'll know tomorrow.
No, I mean, is anybody running for write-in for Danbury?
We'll find out on Wednesday.
Oh,
You have other
Well,
positions that people are running for, but not that.
And not the budget
Not
committee
science.
either. Yeah.
I know Ruby's in the lead in Danbury.
I know my father-in-law voted
I
for my
didn't need to
brother.
bring up right. You're all gonna get yourself as a oopsie.
Okay, so now on to appointment of 2 board members to the NADA Health Insurance Committee, which we have to have, according to this contract that I hope gets passed tomorrow.
So I did speak to Deidre, because as I was reading it, to make sure we had revised everything for when it passes. I noticed that we put in there that we will have a meeting before, I think it was February of 2015, which was kind of funny in the sense of we didn't have the contract passed by then. So I did speak to Deidre, and she was fine with us kind of meeting in March. I think we believe that it's probably in our best interest to meet, even if the contract doesn't pass, to start to think about different options for health insurance. And so she is all for meeting whether it passes or not.
Yeah, the King versus Birdwell thing is gonna have a big impact on the Supreme Court. And that ruling isn't gonna come until June 28th.
What's that?
That is gonna affect, it would affect us in New Hampshire because we did not have a government marketplace. It has to do with the constitutionality of
through the exchange and whether you get the subsidy for it, but it should not affect the taxation, which is what these plans are involved with, and the difficulty of understanding the Cadillac tax and the current structure of existing plan, which is something that we want to tackle as soon as possible.
So whoever the board members are should be interested in health insurance, because it's a pretty dry topic, and have some kind of maybe late afternoon availability as opposed to 7, because I'm thinking that's probably when they're gonna wanna meet.
Volunteers? Don?
Is, kind of a little off topic, but is the assumption as far as the Hill subcommittee goes that pending tomorrow's results, that becomes a less active subcommittee should it pass?
Yeah. If it passes, I mean, there really is no subcommittee then. It's pretty much a done deal, and other than signing on the.
They meet after.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they meet the week after us, I think the 18th.
Well, then I would volunteer for this.
Okay, Don and Bernie. Okay, at this time, is there any public comment on agenda items only? Okay.
I don't know if I'm doing this right. This is my first
You
meeting.
stand up and say your name and your town.
My name is Sion, and I'm from Alexandria.
Sion, your whole name, we need your whole name.
Oh, Sion Gogan, sorry. I don't really know if I'm addressing this correctly or not, and where I need to go from here, but just feel free to stop me. My daughter is in the high school here, and she has been on the concussion list for 4 months. And they're telling she is having a hard time passing the concussion test, and she has an IEP.
I am going to stop you because what you're saying is probably going to go into confidential information, even though it's you, the parent. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so I would suggest, can you give me a call?
I can.
I can leave you my number, so I can help if it's something that's not getting done or you feel like needs to be handled a different way.
Well, yeah, I don't need to like go into details. I'm just curious if there is like any way that there can be some type of stipulation put in place where there's some type of release of liability that I as a parent can sign, because my only choice now is to take her to this Dr. Glassman in Concord or wherever he is, and I don't feel that I should have to pay that. Her PCP has signed off on her. It's been 4 months.
Have you talked to high school administration?
Her PCP has
So
called.
then,
Yeah, so why don't you give me a call?
after the administration there, you speak to this administration, and then if you're
Okay.
not satisfied, then you speak to the board.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Thanks for being a first timer. Okay, it's time. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda, which includes 3 sets of minutes, first read on policies, and a field trip request. So moved. Thank you, Ben.
Second.
And a second by Jeff. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Financial approval of manifest.
Has anyone else signed January? No. So we're moving up till next time.
Okay. Any other business?
I have a question.
Yep.
I didn't see this most current student count in any of the paperwork. Did I miss it?
There's one from Ann, if that's what you're talking about.
No, usually there's a attendance sheet. Was there an updated attendance sheet this month?
Oh, you mean enrollment?
Yeah, the enrollment.
There's a count here.
I know, but
But not the enrollment sheet, but the enrollment.
So is Ann's report reflective of the total number
I got the information from
from?
Sue Cross usually gives out those individuals.
So that would have come from the enrollment sheet?
Or from some of the.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it's not in here, because I think we're up
Yeah.
2 students.
2 or 4.
We'll get you, we can send you out a new one.
It may have just been left off, because I know she emailed us that exact report, and that's what Ann based her report on.
So we're now at 11:56.
I'll have them Sue send them out tomorrow, too, so you know.
11:07.
1176.
The 11:56 takes out total student enrollment pre-K to 12.
Oh, I'm sorry, I see it.
Includes pre-K.
Okay, so it's 11:76.
K through 12 is 56. And that includes the homeschool people?
No.
So they
It has
came in-
never improved.
Or you're
No.
talking about recent,
The change from homeschool to in-school,
If they had
That
enrolled by
one
the date that this
family.
was collected.
were they enrolled by?
If they were
when this
enrolled by the
problem-
first of the month, or whatever that closest date to the first of the month was, and they would be included in that count. It's always the first of the month now.
When did they enroll?
You might say in the
Maybe it
newsletter.
wasn't it like the end of the problem?
Also, it's already been homeschooled, I think.
It's in Eric's newsletter, I don't know if there's a
Friday
date.
before February.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Not the Friday.
No, it's just questioning whether the families that had been homeschooled.
Oh, is
their
in that, if they enrolled before,
Because Eric
The
did
first.
mention it in his monthly report.
right,
that
if they
had
enrolled before March 1, then they would have been included in this month.
Mike, on regular ed, you're showing us over 155,000. Is that because things have just been moved to other categories, or?
No, actually, there's a healthcare adjustment line, because we're now encumbering healthcare through payroll deduction. And there is a healthcare, because we're prepaying, so we pay every month the bill, we get a monthly bill. However, we're not collecting premiums from the largest portion of our staff during the summer. So that adjustment line is actually 345,000, which will be zero at the end of the year. So we're actually about 200,000 positive in that way. Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for noticing. 36,000 less in the special ed line too, so you have a little more money in there. Good question.
I just want to commend the staff. I wasn't at the high school open house for Hill. I understand that it was lightly attended, but well done. But the middle school, and that includes you, Mimi. You guys did a really nice presentation for those families. And it was good to see so much staff there too. And, you know, I really felt, they felt welcome. And the kids were great. You're taking us around on the tour. We had 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And so it was
The high school,
good job.
the students as well.
Yeah.
They both went really well, I thought.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the newspaper article this week with the behavior of out-of-town students at the basketball game. I think we...
What newspaper?
The Laconia Daily Sun. Apparently there was some poor sportsmanship on behalf of the visiting team's visitors. For the most part, our visitors refrained, and none of the students involved, none of the students playing got involved in it, and they stayed fairly positive. So I think our students deserve a commendation for their behavior, and you know, we need to remind our spectators that no matter what the other team's spectators do, we shouldn't go to their level.
Is that a standard announcement at the games?
Yeah, and we have it posted all over the walls as well, and that's pretty, it's different schools do different things. I mean, we've seen other schools do far worse that I have been appalled at. But is there kind of standard practice? I mean, we had a school come in and as they were playing, the students stirred up and turned around, turned their back to our team. I mean, so it's a path, I mean, so I think where the thing came from, this one, from my understanding and having conversations with the high school administrators and Pete, was that during like foul shots, when we play, we're very quiet. Apparently when Laconia plays, they're very loud. So it really is just different standards of how, is it right or wrong either way? I don't know, you know, if you go to a professional game, it's not silent. So it just really depends on how your team approaches it. And the parent who wrote the letter was not happy with how Laconia approached it. Like, was it right or wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, the following day, there was a much larger write-up, and the paper actually went around to Interlakes and some sports writers and so forth, and got some more opinion. And it was nice that we're on the better side of the discussion.
Absolutely, and I would commend our players and our fans for that as well.
I wondered who the team was. And it's not the team I would expect. But you just mentioned the team I would expect that beginning. I feel like I had something else, but I can't remember what. Anybody else?
Yeah, just, Madam Chair, would like to just extend my thanks to you for having served the board for the past 3 years. And that it was a pleasure serving under you as vice chair this year. And just thank you for your effort.
You know what it costs?
I just noticed they had another question for Mike.
Okay.
Outstanding checklist, how do those go back?
It depends on when the treasurer makes a report, and I'm speaking for her. So if it's right after an AP run, we're gonna have a pretty high number of outstanding checks, which is probably what happened there. So they just haven't cashed yet. So it could be that she ran her report as of...
It's not the amount, it's how old they are.
We could do a...
Our town is notorious for having old outstanding checks.
I can certainly do like an aging analysis on those for you, like an email to you. We don't typically have too many checks outstanding. A decent period of time, but I don't know. I haven't looked at your town to see when they cash them. Maybe they're a few months overdue. We should give them a ring. Or just say, hey, keep it, let's keep the money here at the school.
2001?
What?
What? I haven't heard that.
Most banks won't honor them.
Yeah, that's void at that point.
A little bit.
So we do.
Never looked
Let's
at
read dinner next meeting.
I have talked to our accountant, so we're not just allowing checks to stay, and this goes for payables as well. They're actually making, she will make a phone call, and I'd like to see that. And so we're making a few changes for how we follow up with some of the items in payroll and AP. It's really just following up with like customer service and getting on it because, before it gets to an expiration point. So,
that's what I've been after.
Yeah.
Our bookkeeper to do.
It's not, it's once they get into it, it's can be an enjoyable part of your job too, especially within the school district, although collections is not fun. And it's worth it making the phone call because taking care of it right away is better than having to do this when it becomes a problem.
Okay.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public.
So,
Is there a second? Second, Christine. And so we are going to adjourn. And let me take the roll for that. Suchini? Yes.